Hello everyone, this is Teacher Marsha and I would like to welcome you all to another edition of my video tutorials. Today we're going to learn about proportion. What do we mean by proportion? A proportion is a mathematical comparison between two numbers. Often these numbers can represent a comparison between things or people. Let's take a look on the following example. As you can see, there are mangoes inside the basket. We have the green mangoes and we have the yellow mangoes. So we're going to get the proportion of the yellow mangoes and the green mangoes. So first, let's count the total number of the mangoes inside the basket. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, and 10. So there are 10 mangoes inside the basket. Now let's get the proportion of the yellow mangoes. Let's start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there are 6 yellow mangoes out of the 10 mangoes in the basket. Now let's count the green mangoes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 green mangoes out of the 10 mangoes inside the basket. So the proportion of yellow mangoes is 6 out of 10. We can say that 6/10 of the mangoes are yellow, while the proportion of green mangoes is 4 out of 10. So we can say that 4/10 of mangoes are green. So what did you notice? So proportion can also be written as fraction. 6 out of 10 can be written as 6/10, while 4 out of 10 can be written as 4/10. Let's go to the next example. Look at the following shapes. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there are 14 shapes on the board. So we have two types of shapes on the board. We have pentagon and triangles. So we are going to get the proportion of pentagon and the proportion of triangles among the given set. So let's start with the pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There are 8 pentagons out of 14 shapes. Now let's count the triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There are 6 triangles out of the 14 shapes. The proportion of pentagons is 8 out of 14. We can say that 8/14 of the shapes are pentagon. The proportion of triangles is 6 out of 14. We can say that 6/14 of the shapes are triangle. Again, proportion can be written as fraction. 8 out of 14 can be written as 8/14, while 6 out of 14 can be written as 6/14. Now that you know what a proportion is, let's try to work on the exercises in your student book and workbook. Let's start with your student book. So please look at the set of fruits inside the bowl and then answer the following questions. Letter A, how many pieces of fruit are there all together? So you have to count all the fruits inside the bowl and you have to write your answer here. Letter B, how many oranges are there? Letter C, what is the proportion of oranges in the fruit bowl? So here, in the numerator, write the number of oranges. In the denominator, write the total number of fruits inside this bowl. For letter D, which fruit shows a proportion of 3/10? So look at the set of fruits and see which has a total of 3. Now let's go to let's practice. Look at the sets of buttons and answer the following question. Letter A. What is the proportion of purple buttons? So count the number of buttons first. So that will be your denominator, the total number of buttons. It means all. Now for your numerator, how many are purple? So count the number of purple buttons and write it inside this box. Letter B. What is the proportion of red buttons? So count the number of red buttons and write it in the numerator. And then for the total number of buttons, write it here. Again, it's the total. Letter C. What color button has a proportion of 1/15? So look at the set of buttons and identify which button is showing 1/15. Write the color here. Is it yellow? Is it purple? Is it blue? Or is it red or green? So you have to write your answer here. Now for letter D, what color button has a proportion of 1/5? 1/5. So you have to write the color here. Now let's go to your workbook. Number 1. Look at the set of toys inside the box and answer the following questions. How many toys are there altogether? So count the total number of toys and write it here. Letter B. How many cars are there? So just count the number of cars and write it here. Number 3, letter C, what is the proportion of cars in the toy box? So write the total number of cars in the numerator and write the total number of all the toys in the denominator. Letter D, which toy shows a proportion of 3/8 of the toy box? So you have to write the name of the toy that is showing 3/8. So is it the car? Is it the bear? Or is it the doll? Okay, so write the name here. Number 2, look at the shapes. What is the proportion of triangles in the group? So count the number of triangles and write it in the numerator. Count the total number of shapes, all of the shapes, and write it in the denominator. What is the proportion of purple shapes in the group? Count the purple shapes and write it here. And again here, the total number of shape, it means all of the shapes. What is the proportion of the big shapes in the group? Here, count the number of big shapes and again here the total, all of the shapes. What is the proportion of the small shapes? Write it in the numerator, and the denominator, again, it's the total of all the shapes. For number 3, look at the set of purple and black sweets. Estimate the proportion of purple sweets. So make an estimate by just looking at the sweets. Do not count them. Write first your estimate here. And then for number 4, again, it's estimating. Look at the set of flowers. Estimate the proportion of purple flowers. So write your answer here. So that's it for today. I hope that you have got something from our lesson. And I hope to see you all again next week for another session. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.